Hey everyone, so we are back. It's Friday and it is live and uncut. It's going to be slightly different today because Mr. Davies unfortunately can't join us. He's having some building trouble. So in his house, he has he's having a big extension, and what they're doing is, well, they've cut through his internet and telephone line. So I don't even know if he's going to be watching this, to be honest. And he was going to head to his salon, but he's having a little bit of work done there, and they've ripped out his Wi-Fi and his power cables. So he's not joining us today, but I'm joined with Sherry Petenbrink, and she's a Joico artist currently residing in Texas. So we're going to bring her on straight away. But make sure you subscribe to the channels. Make sure you see down the bottom, you can follow us all on Instagram. And once this is live, just share away. So let's bring Sherry on. Hey.
Hello. How are you? It's good afternoon for you, right? Your afternoon?
Yes. Yeah, like 4 o'clock.
Oh, good. And I'm still having my coffee, so.
I know, 10 a.m. there.
Pardon?
10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 a.m. So, yeah, I'm getting a bit of a late start. Usually by now I've done my walk. I've done a bit of gardening. Now, this morning, though, it was just getting, fancy and ready for camera.
Cool, love it. You're used to it though, aren't you?
Yeah, no, kind of, yeah.
What a job.
Yeah, I've been really busy with lives. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, it was kind of like, how is this going to work? It's going to be so different. But I'm finding that, you just treat the camera like your audience. And because there are people out there, it ends up not feeling that different, sharing live as it does with an audience. And the interaction is nice, being able to read comments, questions, and kind of play off of your audience like that is also really fun. But nothing will replace that, human contact. But it's a decent, it's an okay replacement for now.
Yeah. Well, it's opened up a whole new world for us. I mean, we're connecting with all you guys in the States, with all of our team in Europe.
Yeah.
And I mean, without this downtime, we wouldn't have been able. I mean, I'd have had no time to do this.
Right.
So I'm hoping when we get back into the salon, we can just we're still going to do Mondays. I don't think we'll do Fridays.
Sure.
So Mondays maybe every other week.
Right.
We want to keep it going. It's been really fun. But yeah. So because we did the first one. We were like the third week in lockdown.
Yeah. It was new. I think we were still the very end of May, if I'm not mistaken, if not the very first few days of April.
Yeah.
That we went live, and it was fun. It was fun because at that time it was very unknown, right? We really didn't know what was going on. Still, we were all kind of just enjoying our vacation. We thought, oh, okay, wait, what? We can't go to work? Okay. Just kind of like living like that until the panic kind of set in of like, this is real life.
Yeah. Give me 3 weeks off and I can see where we're going to go. What's that? Oh, Brandon is just... Hi, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon. I know. It's amazing. Like for me, I've been so challenged because technology-wise, like I'm not the best. Like people think, oh, you're so active on your Instagram and this or that, you make videos, blah, blah. I have a lot of help from my daughter, first of all. And second of all, it's like trial and error. But the great part about all of this is it's actually forced me to kind of jump in and I know now, like I can't break it. For so long I was afraid to even try something because I'm like, what if I break my computer? What if I mess it up so bad that I can never use it again? Or my phone is down for days because I pushed the wrong button. I mean, it's kind of insanity to think of it like that, but I was that nervous and insecure. So anyway.
I mean, that is the thing. I mean, with Ian, unfortunately, I said why Ian can't be here, but that's him. I mean, we've took him on a journey of trying to learn it all, to being a big part of this, but also his YouTube channel. And the reason we moved over from Instagram is because the Instagram lives are like 24 hours, and we wanted something a little bit more educational, but something that you can watch whenever you want. And YouTube is
hold on to. Yeah, and hold on to. I know. I think it's great. It is. And again, this morning I was nervous because when I saw like, wait, we're streaming on, I was like, I've never done that before. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And it's like, you just troubleshoot through it. And it actually is really easy when you start pushing buttons. It just does it for you. Yeah. My first Zoom conference, where I brought in, there were 5 of us on the call, and I did it on my Facebook group. And I was just like blown away, like, wow, we could plan this meeting. I have people in 4 other states besides me and a 5th state. And here we are all together talking about this. And it was when things first had opened up for those 4 states. And so we had a very different perspective on a really big salon with a lot of employees in Georgia, to a smaller salon in South Dakota, to a booth rental situation in Oklahoma. You know, and it was kind of like that whole thing. And so it was interesting to see, because that's what makes it unique here in the US, is that we have 50 states, and all 50 states have different regulations.
Yeah. I mean, that must be so frustrating sometimes. And I mean, I would hate to be the person deciding what we can do and what we can't do in a state.
Right.
The only comparison I can think of here with what we're going to talk about in a second, with what's happening, is we have outbreaks of the virus, like heavier in different shires.
Like hotspots, different regions.
So we could be heading towards a localized lockdown, which would potentially make us like little states. But introduce yourself and like what you do, and then we'll go straight into give people sort of an idea of how you guys are coping with reopening, and then we'll go into everything about you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Sherry Petenbrink. I have been hairdressing. I've been in the industry for 38 plus years. I know they always say you shouldn't go past 20 because you age yourself, but it's something I'm really proud of, because I've stuck out this journey for many years. And I think part of why I've been able to do that is that I've been in so many different parts of the industry. Like I hop around from, you know, I focus on different aspects of the industry. So I've been a guest artist for Joico. Well, I've been with Joico as representative and an artist for 22 years now. Wow. And yesterday I posted a fun little video of when I actually got promoted from the like advisor, ambassador, educator position into the artistic team, and kind of everything that went into that. And it was such a process back then. And, you know, you got the formal phone call, you got the letter, the certification letter that, you know, you're part of this, you know, team now and stuff. Yeah. And I always knew that that was my goal when I signed on. I've been married for 33 years to an amazing guy that's always supportive. Nice. I followed him around for 20 years with his Navy career. And when he got out of the Navy, we actually lived in Georgia. We had a very successful salon there, 31 employees, 4,200 square feet, training room, full barber shop. I had 4 barbers, and we had a full spa as well, facials, massage, all the nail services, lashes, all of it. So he was supportive of that. And then we came to a point a couple years into him getting out of the Navy, finding a job in that small area. It's like you either work at the base, right? The Navy base that was there as a civilian, or the jobs are limited. So we decided that we were at a point, the salon was plateauing, and we're like, where do we really have room for growth here? We're in a small town. We loved it there, and it was a great place to raise our children for 10 years, but we saw that we were kind of like, this is it. You know, if we stay here now, we're in our mid 40s at this point. You know, if we stay here now, we'll probably just stay here and retire. So we weren't kind of finished exploring and done. So my husband said to me, serious conversation, if I said I would move anywhere with you, up and move, what would you say to that? Where would you go? And I was like, right away, Los Angeles. Because I loved going there for trainings. I had started to kind of tiptoe into the world of film. I'd taken some courses that allowed me opportunity to work on some films. And I sort of thought at that moment that was kind of my next avenue. Yeah. So we sell the business. Two of our children came with us. They were 18 and 15. at the time, and they were like, let's go. They were like ready. So we were like the Beverly Hillbillies. We got a U-Haul. I sold most of my furniture, sold the business, rented our home. We still own our home there, rented that out. And we packed what we could in the U-Haul, what we kind of thought of as essentials, which took up a very big U-Haul with all of us. Towed the car behind. Had a Suburban as well, and off we went on our convoy, driving across country from Georgia to Los Angeles. And
how long is that?
The drive? It's all the way across, because we actually lived on the water in Georgia. So we lived on the water in Georgia, right at the Florida-Georgia line. So that gives you an idea from the U.S. And literally, it's straight across.
Yeah.
And we drove through Texas, ironically, for days. Texas is the biggest state. It's like the drive through there is just like, please let us get out of Texas. You're excited when you get in and you're like, we're making progress. We're in Texas. And then you're like, we're still in Texas? Like, how is this possible? So the drive was fun. It was an adventure. And because my husband was in the military as well as my father, I'm always up for an adventure. So for me, it was just like, whatever. We'll get an apartment. We'll settle in. We'll decide where we want to work. We'll do this. We'll do that. So off we went to LA, and a lot of opportunities did come my way there. I will never regret my time spent there. But after almost 12 years, it was my husband's turn. He got an amazing promotion and job offer here in Houston, Texas, managing a power plant. And it was kind of an offer that we couldn't refuse. Thinking of our future and where we were now and the point of our age, as an educator at Joico, artistic director at Olivia Garden, I can travel from anywhere. And Houston has an international airport that's allowed me to fly direct to, you can go direct to Australia, you can get to Hong Kong, multiple flights. In fact, I feel like in some ways, I almost feel like there was more flight opportunity here. LA was a nightmare to get to LAX. You never knew if it was going to take 30 minutes or 2 hours, depending on the time of day or anything with traffic. And now I'm 8 miles from the international airport. So I literally can be there anywhere from, 12 minutes to 20 minutes, So it's been really nice. It's been lovely. And it hasn't stopped me.
Is that recent, the move from LA to Texas?
Yeah. So we made the move a year. It's been 1 year now. But I had such a busy travel year last year. United informed me that I traveled around the world 4 times, and that was just on their airline. So I did fly. Also, I know I have status on 2 airlines. So I mean, the travel that I do is massive, but I love it. And I feel like I'm at a point in my life now, the children are grown. My husband's very busy at his job as well. So it's kind of perfect. It was perfect timing for me. It wasn't right for me in my 30s. It wasn't even right for me in my early 40s because I had other priorities. I loved doing hair. I loved having a salon. I loved being an educator and all of those things. But the time came then I'm like, okay, now I can just kind of do whatever the hell I want to, because I'm not doing this to earn a living. I'm doing this out of passion and love of the industry. And so it's a really good feeling when you get to that point that you can say yes to volunteer for an amazing opportunity if you need to, and you don't have to worry about a paycheck for a week because maybe this opportunity fell in your lap that was like, look, it's a little budget, but it's this, I've had those things happen. And so it's a good place to be. I did have a private studio in Beverly Hills. It was a two block walk for me. So it worked out when I wasn't on the road. I just would walk over and do my clients a couple of days a week. And it was perfect. I really had like the perfect situation in LA. It was really hard, the decision, when my husband said, and we thought about him commuting through the week and then coming back to LA on the weekends. But we spent so much time apart for 20 years with him on submarines that we're like, at this point in our life, we didn't want that either. And so we made the decision, to move. And interestingly enough, I didn't find a salon home the first year because between the children coming, a ton of international travel for Joico and mostly even Olivia Garden, because they are distributed in 100 countries. So they're in 100 countries represented. And so I've been helping them build education teams in all these different countries. So going to Taiwan multiple times a year, going to India multiple times a year, you know, all these different places, so that I could be training the artist team there.
Yeah.
So now they've got the strength to have that local education that then they can send out to do even more training and big. So I'm basically like training my way out of a job, kind of, in a way.
You just work at the level, aren't you? You're going to be.
Exactly, and I love seeing it. And I'm at a point in my career now that it's pay it forward. I mean, I will give 100% of everything I have, education, technique, you know, any knowledge that I can to make someone's life easier or elevate and empower them. I'm giving it 100%. I don't hold back. So I love to see people succeed. I love to see people grow, which is why it's been amazing to be with Joico for so long and still be a part of the trainings. You know, I'm still part of the training team with the guest artists, but I also get to train the advisors, you know, at that level. And that's where I really get the satisfaction of seeing them grow and their passion for the brand and their work. And, you know, all of that camaraderie is just amazing. I love being a part of a team. Yeah.
And I think, like, when you were touching on sort of like when you find yourself being very comfortable or just at a point in your career where you're just there and you're just happy to be in it and inspired. And I think that's what keeps hairdressers really young as well. Being in this industry, a lot of my mates, a lot of my friends are always sort of saying, well, different things. But I always feel a little bit, I don't know, a bit. I've got a lot of energy, and I'm like 100 miles per hour all the time, and I think it is to the industry that we're in.
Exactly. You know, and for me too, it's always, I love that feeling of accomplishment. And in order to have that, you have to be uncomfortable. Because if you go into something with 100% confidence, you don't come out of it with that same feeling of accomplishment that you do when you go into it like, okay, I'm going to pull this off. I can do this. Like, I'm going to give it 100%. And I know that I can pull this off. That's when that uncomfortable feeling and that feeling of like, okay, can I? And then you do it, you're just like, whoa, like you walk out of it blown away, you know? So, and you know, I've kind of attacked everything that way in my career because I never thought I would be a salon owner. I mean, my husband and I moved every 3 years. How do you own a salon and move every 3 years? Well, we were lucky enough when we moved to Georgia that he got stationed there and he got a repeat orders. And so at that point, we sort of put his career and we just said, okay, you can finish out your years so you get your retirement. But this business we have right here that you're now helping me grow and manage, because I was the creative part. He was the brains. Like he's the one who checked the budget. He said to me, you've got wants and you've got needs. Okay. The wants come after the needs always. And I'm like, oh, so we can't just buy salon furniture because I'm bored with the old stuff. And he's like, no, unless we need it, you know, this is how it works, you know? So I'm like, oh, so he really kept me disciplined and the perspective to be able to grow from an 800 square foot with 4 people working with me to 31 and 4,200, you know, and not having any debt. I mean, when we sold our business, we were debt free. We had no loans, no bank notes. We owed a little bit to our distributor for our final product orders to leave it stocked for the new owners, but that was it, you know? And so I think when I attack something or when I go after something, it's like go big or go home. I'm never that person, and I respect people that are comfortable and they've got like, oh, I just want balance everywhere. But for me, it's always been like, I am like, when I commit to something, man, it's like, woof. And so for the salon, I always knew it would be bigger, better. And when I joined the Joico team, when I was asked to come and train to be an advisor and for my new hire, I came home and I told my husband then, I'm like, look, this is like a whole nother opportunity for me. You brought me to this small town after living in a big city like San Francisco, San Diego, you know, and now you bring me to this sleepy little town in Georgia. And I'm like, I need something else. And so that for me was like that perfect opportunity to still feed me creatively. And it also gave me a purpose and allowed me to have goals, not only, you know, personally with my salon, but professionally with Joico as a brand, you know.
Yeah.
So I told him I'm taking it all the way. And it took me, I think I spent 5 years, you know, working on that and constantly like, okay, how do I become a guest artist? My children had gotten a little bit older, so I was ready to be able to travel and you know, and knew that they could be okay home with dad.
Yeah. So when you say an advisor, what is an advisor in the States?
Yeah, so here in the US, we have like our education team, okay?
Yeah.
So we have a few different levels, very valuable to the brand because
Yeah,
they are, you know, when you think of it like an army and you have all the soldiers, you know, they're our front line. You know, people want to think the artists, right, they want to think the artists are the front line, but they're a smaller group. So this large group, this is the army that's on the front line. Yeah. They're the ones going into salons, going into the distributors, constantly putting up videos and before and afters of their work. They're the ones that just really just drive the brand to the masses, you know. Exactly. And there's, I mean, we had 3 different trainings this year with the in different geographical areas domestically, and they each one had about 35, 40 maybe people. I think one of them might have had as many as 50. So that gives you an idea, you know. Yeah. Regionally there were the trainings like East Coast, West Coast, Central kind of thing. And it's amazing to think, you know, that they are all, that many are out there investing in their future and their education, and to be a part of a brand like Joico, it's really awesome to see and be a part of. I did the trainings with Bryce, Ricardo, and Zoe. Yep. And the 4 of us did the cutting and the coloring. We had to be all fluid, you know, in all of the techniques. And then Zoe and I took the lead more on color. Bryce and Ricardo took more of the lead on cutting. But we had to be there to help with a group that big and really make sure that the important thing, like for Tuki, as our director of training here, she always wants to make sure that everyone gets like that one-on-one, you know, and they feel like they invested in that training and they can leave feeling like we really, all of us as a team, gave them 100% from her and Ashley through to the trainers. So we really try hard to make that experience a really great one for them.
Yeah, because if you've got like 40 people and there's 4 of you, that's basically a class of 10 to one artist. So yes. Breaking it down like that will be much more of a personal experience, a lot more visual, because if you're teaching the masses, there's always going to be people at the back who don't see it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or they're daydreaming, sometimes, and then they're like, oh wait, what just happened? And you're like, okay, come on, we'll pull you in.
Like a 10-second vacation. It's like, oh yeah, we're here.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I love the trainings. I love the global training. I love the process. The last 2 years, I've got to work with Richard and Larissa, and the 3 of us have come up with the trends. And hey, Debbie. I love working with Debbie Camacho I usually work with her in the markets like Mexico. I think, yeah. So she's international, and I worked with her in Mexico quite a few times. But
I mean, this is what I've loved doing this, getting to meet everybody and get to talk to people who, because I'm with Joico now 2 years, so I'm still new.
Yeah.
To meeting everybody. But yeah, incredible.
Yeah, so so my journey with Joico has been awesome. And then, you know, I speaking of like, again, you get a little bit stagnant. So when I first moved to LA, I really thought that I was going to step away from education a little bit and go like headstrong into the film industry. Yeah. I had quite a few people that I'd had the opportunity to meet within it's a union. They have a union, a very strong, tight, hard to get in union. I mean, when you think about all the films that happen, and you think there's 1,400 hairstylists and makeup artists, but think of all the films and the size of the crews, they stay quite busy, you know. They stay very busy. And
in the union?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was very fortunate to meet some people, some hairstylists within the union that were super influential. A couple of them have since retired. One just retired in the UK, in London. And so I got in on their careers towards their where they were finishing. So they were quite established. So they were working as personals with big names. And so lucky for me, and I use the word luck, which I use carefully in my career, because we all know luck usually doesn't have anything to do with it. But I will say this, that there are those times that by luck, by chance, you meet someone and an opportunity presents itself, right? It's what you do with that opportunity that changes whether, you know, you're lucky or you're not lucky.
Definitely,
you might be lucky for an opportunity to come your way. I will admit, I've had things just literally fall in my lap, like a text come in or an email saying like, hey, we'd like you to do this makeover. So, and I'm just like jaw drop. What? I don't know. Can we curse? I don't know if this is like uncut, but you're almost like WTF, like who what? You know, that kind of thing.
It comes with hard work.
It's how you perform, you know?
Yeah.
That keeps it going. So with that said, I had some opportunities early on in my days in LA, something that a lot of people don't know, even all of the new people, even at Joico, that don't know, because I don't talk about it a lot, but I left the company for almost 2 years. And I had an opportunity come when I first moved to LA to open and manage the Goldwell Academy in Santa Monica.
Okay.
So again, opportunity, it's who you know. And all I'm gonna, so one of the names on that list I posted the other day that had signed for me to promote, happened to leave the company and go and work for Goldwell.
Okay.
So with that being said, knowing the academy was going to be opening, knowing, because we stayed in touch, that I moved to LA and that I may possibly be looking for opportunity, it was presented to me, would I be interested? So of course I sent in my resume and it happened. So it was one of those kind of, again, it was like a dream opportunity. You know, there was all of a sudden I'm on a salary, I've got benefits, I'm in this big girl job for the first time in my career, as I thought of it. And boy, was it a challenge. But again, I left there with no regrets. After almost about a year and a half, almost 2 years, I just decided that the corporate world at that time wasn't really what I wanted. I kind of still wanted to pursue the film part of it. And so I found myself day after day, as people were getting in touch with me about photo shoots, about, you know, doing like, you know, big magazine shoots and things like that, that I was having to say no to every other opportunity. Because you were there. Because I was there and I was in that position. I was also a part of their artist team. So I was still doing education in-house. So that need was being filled. I was working behind the chair, but that other part that I'd actually thought I wanted, I felt unfinished. So I left that position. Of course, Joico was there to be like, come on over. Sarah Jones was like, you want to come back? So I was like, absolutely. So I just jumped in where I left off. And some people were like, wait, what? You left? When did you leave? What do you mean you left? So so that was kind of fun. And then so from there, what had happened while I was at the academy is I did a workshop with all of the union hairdressers, because Goldwell wanted them to get their hands in their products, their color, their products to use on set for purposes. Instagram was just starting. I remember starting my Instagram account for the academy. It was like a must. Like, you have to do this. And so I started the page for the academy and for the salon, as well as personally. And kind of dove into that. Up until then, I had a Facebook page, but I wasn't real active. And then before that, MySpace, I didn't really participate. No, I didn't, because I felt like at that time, MySpace was the younger generation. Okay. You know, my kids were doing it, and maybe in your 20s, 30s. But I mean, I was already, you know, in my mid 40s. Grown children, late 40s, maybe early 50s even, you know, grown children, whatever. But Facebook and Instagram, I feel, are completely different. So I didn't mind jumping into that. But we did this so we did the seminar, which gave me an opportunity to meet even more of these union hairdressers. And we actually did a show where we did cutting, corrective color, finishing, and blow drying. And so at the end, you know, I looked like, wow, you know, woo, this girl really knows what she's doing. And it was in front of their eyes and whatever. So that's why I started getting called. And when I did Hunger Games, it was, I mean, that was a game changer. If I have one opportunity in my career to say is a game changer, it would be that. And that, again, was one of those opportunities. I'd become friends with the department head. Her and I had become very good friends. And when she told me that she was, you know, putting in to do the film, she said, I would love for you to consider doing the colors for me. And I was just like, okay. And I knew what that meant. I mean, I knew what a huge honor it was, even before I read the books, to see like, wow, she's not kidding. Like, this movie is all about hair color. Yeah. So again, you know, wigs were colored, hair pieces were done, you know, all of that had to be done for her to present to, for them to be able to say, yes, we trust this person, you know. So that was a big game changer for me, but that was also a turning point because it sort of ruined me in that respect, because every other project I worked on was a bit boring compared. So then I shifted gears and I was like, this isn't for me. I'm going to try something else. So anyway, my niche became, you know, doing color, and I got calls all the time. And I was, you know, just constantly, I always had at least one project on my plate that I was working with, whether I was coloring, you know, the wigs for Scarlett for Black Widow, or I did a lot of coloring for some roles for Julia Roberts, for Nicole Kidman, with another friend that was personal to them and stuff. So that was kind of my niche until I left LA. The last project that I worked on was for Batwoman, Ruby Rose, that I think Joyco just posted it the other day in Joyco Intensity, was her wig for that movie, and that was amazing to work with. And then you know, after moving here, I've had some calls, but like I said, several of the people that I worked with closely have retired now. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to build new relationships knowing that I wasn't going to be in LA. Even though the filming doesn't always take place, their production is there, pre-production is there, post-production is there. So if they're filming in Toronto or Vancouver or Louisiana or Atlanta or wherever they might be filming, you know, they'll fly me there real quick. Sometimes I literally fly in, refresh a couple wigs, and fly home. So it's like a day in the office. Other times I would stay overnight. Other times I'd be there for the better part of 5 days, doing a lot of different projects. You know, I chose not to join the union. I've never joined the union. Is it something I regret? That might be one thing that I could say that maybe I should have just done it to do it. And didn't, because again, I didn't think that was going to be a major part of my career. But now looking back, I have friends, you know, working on some big shows, and I think, gosh, you know, that could have worked. Like,
So
you know,
with the union then, so how do you go about? It's like basically like what it sounds like is it's a club, and you've got to know somebody to get into the club.
No, actually, it's not. It's you have to. There's a bunch of requirements. So you have to put in X amount of hours within a time period working on non-union documented projects, which is difficult, and it's lower pay, and it's a lot of sacrifice that goes in. So there's a few different ways that you can do it, and certainly if you know someone that's willing to help you with, you know, like providing you the work that you need to start building those hours, because it will take you a few years to get where you need to be. You can be also requested by a star. They can request you, but that's not as popular as you would think it would be, or as easy, because I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say, because I'm not deep enough in the union to know, but I think from my perspective, I would say that that's not always the ethical choice. Okay. If you want to be, you know, if you want to be well received, let's say, on set, it's probably better that the channels are followed and you work your way up to that personal type thing, because it's so much more than knowing how to do hair. That's something I came to learn. I mean, the work, the mental work and the preparation that's put into building a character still blows my mind. You know, it still blows my mind. Even the projects I've worked on and the meetings I've sat in on, and listening to the director and the producers and the department heads and the cast, you know, talk. So much is put into those characters, like the details of, like, you know, that one highlight in the front just looks a little too modern, a little too fresh. This is supposed to be, you know, whatever. She lives in a trailer. She has 5 kids and she's a single mom. She's not going to have that, you know. So it's all those things that go into building that character, you know, and that kind of stereotype of what they want that character to look like. So it's fun. It's fun. It's challenging. And really, for me, it's always been all about taking direction. I have to be a very good listener, because it's what I do is such a small part in the really big picture, but it's also very vital and very important that, you know, if you're working with a $8,000 wig, that you don't jack it up, because you can't even buy another one because they have to be custom made. So there's times you're working on a wig that literally would take somebody a week to make. So if you mess it up, you're going to have to either correct it or, you know, it's a disaster. So nothing I ever wanted to find out how all that worked.
Well, yeah, I love that. And it's something that people in this industry, I mean, a lot of people think, oh, I'll work in a salon, I'll work 9 to 5, and then they get a little glimpse of maybe an education, like maybe being an educator, and then you'll see a glimpse of, I don't know, an artist. But you don't really get to talk to many people who have been there doing behind the scenes and like film stuff. You sort of see cruise ships, you know what I mean, where people sort of, they travel the world doing that. But I mean, personally, I haven't spoken to anybody who does films, movies, and all that sort of thing. So it's really interesting to know how and with the union. Well, I'd have never thought that. I would have thought that there'd have been a team, or maybe the movie would have requested a team, and then they go into it and do it like that. So, and to have that many people.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because a lot of times if they film in different countries, they have two different crews. So they can have a hair team in Hungary, and then a hair team in the US, and then a hair team in whatever. Other times they travel the crew with them, you know. So it also depends. Like a lot of the states here in the US, they give like tax incentives, they give tax breaks, all of that, but they have to hire a certain amount of local people. So when I first signed on for Hunger Games, I was hired as the colorist. I was independent. I couldn't work on set. So in other words, I couldn't be in the trailer doing hair. I couldn't be in the active set. So I ended up working out of this warehouse that eventually became the set. But while I was there doing all of that, it wasn't the set. It was still they were building it. They were building the sound stages and, you know, doing all the wardrobe fittings and things like that. But, you know, some of the days that I was there doing the background, I was seeing 50 background people a day for like 10 days. And it was nonstop, and every look had to be approved. So every person you're sending them down 3 stories, because we were in this big, it was like an abandoned whatever tobacco factory in North Carolina. And so, you know, it was a journey for them to be walked down to wardrobe to be approved by the film's creative person, you know, who if they're there as that in that role, they are hair, makeup, wardrobe, all of it. So it's interesting.
So with the background sort of people that you're saying, that's sort of like they're sort of extras as such.
Sure.
But they have to have, obviously they have to be in
character. And it has to be quick. So what was said to me was like, one of the things was they had it once they brought in like 40 different union hairdressers and makeup artists. So 40 of each came in for the actual filming days. So we had these big binders, and you'd go through it and you'd find your person, right?
Oh, okay.
They would have that sheet and they would take it to the hair person, because there had to be continuity, because they don't film in sequence all the time.
No, yeah.
And so as the hairdressers, this is how this look was created. So as the look is being created and approved, you're drawing out the headshots, you're taking pictures front, back, and side. And we had about 15 to 20 minutes per person.
Wow.
For the time allotted to be finished, to be ready for action. And so it was a team of 40 hairdressers, you know, that came together and did that. So that part is pretty amazing. When you step back and you watch something like that, you're just like, wow. I mean, we had coach buses.
I mean,
from the hotel to the set, you know, for that 80 people, you know. And that's just the hair and makeup. That's not the wardrobe people, you know. And then you've got all the cameramen and all, you know, all of the really important people. So you do have to. Sometimes you have to put your ego aside, and you're just like one of the worker bees, you know. And you just take it. You embrace the opportunity. You embrace the moment that you're in. You give it 100%. You work as a team, and that's it, you know. And you get it done. Yeah. So it's interesting. And so with that said, you know, I went into just being like, that was my niche, you know, coloring. So then I just worked independently on projects as a colorist. And I have to say I was always treated really well, because it's almost like we have a special guest today coming on set, you know. It was always fun. It was never, I always felt very appreciated and respected and a part of the group, you know. So that was always nice. And then from there I went into like doing editorial. I started working with some amazing photographers, and I built up a really great portfolio there as well. So yeah.
Look who's back.
Yay. Is he gonna join us, or is he just watching?
Join us for 15 minutes, mate. If you want to click the link, I'll let you in, or will I? We'll see if he joins. If he does, we'll bring him up. But yeah, I mean, you saying about, I would have thought that films, yes, the extras and that have to be in character, but I wouldn't have thought that there'd have been so much emphasis on maybe hair or makeup. I thought, because they're in the background, I thought hair and makeup would have been like, right, A-listers, the stars, the people surrounding, do you know what I mean, the core of the film. I would never really thought there'd have been allotted time for an extra as such. But
it depends on the film too. You know, sometimes they do what's called like CGI. Yeah, sometimes they do what's called CGI, and they just, you know, computer generate this huge audience, right? Other times, you know, like if let's just say, for example, it was a film for Woodstock or something, they might tell the extras to come. Here's the theme. Look like you're in like the late 60s, early 70s. And then wardrobe can kind of tweak a few things or whatever. But we've all seen that film that you're just like, that person doesn't look like they belong there. Right? It's just somebody with like, somebody that's just kind of like, wait, what? Like, But for the most part, you know, that's often, it depends on the budget and all of that as well, you know? So that's why I feel like with Hunger Games, it was a unique, you know, it was kind of like the Pirates of the Caribbean, which had the same makeup artist, but it's like, you know, the stories I've heard about that, you know, these guys, the extras all shaved their heads, and then they had all the wigs, and each day they would just, so the continuity didn't have to be there, because, you know, they were all on the ship and they were just, you know, mixed in. Where I feel like the scenes for the interviews with Hunger Games, they pan the audience out there, and it would have to kind of look like the audience, right? Because if the next day everyone was in a different seat and had a different hat and a different costume, it'd be like, this looks like a whole different crowd at the concert, you know? So I think it depends on all of that too, but I learned so much, and that's the one thing I guess I try to do too, is like, I always do my homework, you know, and I always want to know, like, even like you coming on board with Joico, you said, oh, it's only 2 years ago. But when I see a new face and it's attached with the brand, I always make a point of being like, hello, nice to meet you, welcome to the team. You know, I always try to make sure I know, and people often comment on that, you know, like, hey.
Ah, what a day. And we're done. Thanks, Sherry.
Oh, it's
Okay,
been,
so you have to join in now, Ian, now that you're here.
I have to what?
You have to join in.
Oh, I tell you, I cannot believe I don't know if I've had the best day or the worst day ever. I don't know. We've had an announcement from the government that we might be opening on the 13th.
Yeah.
First thing I've heard, the Welsh Assembly government today, which is excellent. I've been up in the loft. Luckily, look in the loft with a guy trying to get my internet back on. So the internet's back on. It's been like crazy, and like nothing's working. Like it's just even the salon, because I'm having a refit at the salon, and even I couldn't even go to the salon to have my jump on there because there's no Wi-Fi there, because they've taken the router away, because they've decorating everything.
You are an overachiever, working on your home and your business at the same time. Wow.
Listen, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't get it. I was talking to Lewis early today and saying, "Oh God, I got this to do this afternoon." I just hopefully we'll be done, but it is what it is. I tried to call you as well, Paul. If you look at your phone, you got missed calls.
Yeah, I know. It was ringing halfway through when we were talking. So yeah, but yeah, this is so who Ian was just talking about, Lewis. This is Lewis asking a question. So
okay, which film do you wish you'd have worked on? I saw that question pop up, and I will say this: if I was to work full time in the film industry, I would always be attracted to like a period film. So meaning like American Hustle. It went back in, or a gangster film from the 20s. I love like Peaky Blinders. I mean, I love that show, and I have to say, like, I watch it, and what I think about is hair and makeup and wardrobe. Forget like the cinematography, yeah, brilliant, but storyline, brilliant. But I just focus on that because I'm like, I know what the research, I can only imagine the research that goes into that. Downton Abbey was another big one. I always said a Game of Thrones. I'm like, wow. Anything that's all about the hair and the makeup and the character, I would be like, sign me up, I'll work for free.
I've obviously missed. I thought Paul would just kill time, till I got here. Obviously,
missed a little
we
bit.
talked about our horoscopes, our favorite colors, our favorite food. We covered all that.
Oh my God! So as a catch up, what is your horoscope?
We did. I'm a Libra.
Oh God, I don't know nothing about Libras. What's Paul?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, don't know anything about them. I'm Cancerian. I could teach you Peaky Blinders. Yeah, Lewis has got a Peaky Blinders accent.
Oh, awesome.
For real.
I'm 60% British.
Only 60%.
Only 60%. The other 40% is like a combination of other European things. But I'm 100% European.
Yeah,
I thought for sure when I did my ancestry, I was like, please let me just have just a little bit of something. I so badly wanted to have that multi-ethnicity feeling of something, because so many people in our world now, that's what we're made up of,
Yeah.
And no, 100% European. And so there's a little bit of Finnish, German, French. That 40% is broken down. I think the highest besides 60% is 12%, and that's like German and French, or I don't know. I didn't pay attention to all that nonsense. All I care about is the British part. My mom always told me.
Have you ever been to any of those places? Have you ever been to Finland? Have you ever been to Germany? Have you ever been to the other places?
You haven't?
No, have you?
Oh, have I? Of course, yes.
Where have you been?
So my dad was a career military. That's how he met my mom in the UK. And so we spent a lot of time in Europe when I was growing up, so we could be close to my nan and granddad and my mom's family. They're all still there. They all still live in the UK. I was supposed to be there in April. I try to go often and visit because like my children, all of my cousins, their children are having children. So we're just, we're expanding. So I love to go and visit and keep up with everyone.
Okay. Because I went to Finland a couple of years ago to do a launch there, and I went to Helsinki, which I think is an amazing city anyway.
So I have not been to Finland.
That's incredible.
No, I haven't been to Finland. I haven't been to Iceland, which I would love to go. I would love to see the Northern Lights. That's a dream that
Mine too.
Yeah. And I know in Alaska, which is, of course, a U.S. state, but it's kind of another country in a way. I know there you can see it too, but I feel like I want to go further away than, to Alaska. Alaska seems easy compared to, Iceland seems a little more.
Norway, unbelievable as well.
Have you been there, Paul? Norway?
Norway? Yeah, I've worked in Norway a few times.
Oslo?
Yeah.
Well, when I went to Helsinki, what I couldn't believe was you can get on a ferry, like a boat, and in 1 hour you're in St. Petersburg in Russia.
Yeah.
I was just in St. Petersburg. Yeah.
I was like, wow, I never knew
close.
That. I just didn't know that, but I know that in the northern parts of Finland they speak a Russian dialect as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that till I got there, but it was a fantastic city. I've been there either twice or three times. I've been there Helsinki with Joyko, and it's been like phenomenal. People there, fantastic, and the guys I met are just amazing. Marcus and Antero, great guys. So yeah, they're really good, but they look after you.
I would love that. Something I came to realize, I always knew I'd love to travel, but as the further I got in my career with Joy Cohen as artistic director at Olivia Garden, is that I realized how much I love the travel part of it. So, I've been very blessed the last 5 years, especially maybe 6, to really get to travel globally for work. It's like, wow, doing something you love.
With you being able to speak this afternoon, are you back at the salon? Are you working?
No, I'm not in a salon yet. Right now I went into full-time education for the past year, being with the 2 companies and juggling that, and then still working on a few other independent projects. So I was all set though to kind of get back into salon life. And then the COVID hit, the whole Corona hit. And so I was literally supposed to start March 10th or 12th. And so there was no point. And they're back at work now, but I felt like, because I haven't built a clientele here, I felt like I don't want to take away from the stylists that are struggling, getting their clients back in, trying to build and stay as busy as they can be. I'm thinking the last thing they need is to throw me in the mix and be like, okay, we have a new employee and we're going to try to build her business. And, so I've just kind of been laying low. And my husband has been a little funny about it too, because he's like, why go out there and expose yourself like that? For what? Like, you're going to sit building. You're not going to be super busy. And so again, it's okay for now. I've stayed very busy doing, my tutorials, my lives, working on formats. I'm doing, I have a big show, ISSE show coming up in January. It's one of the biggest shows in the US, 60,000 hairstylists. And I do a lot of independent education at that show. So they've just asked me to submit all my formats for next year. That's a big project because you have to write everything out, descriptions and everything out. So it'll take me the better part of half a day. So I'm going to get that done today. It's been on my list all week.
Well, have I missed many comments, Paul? Have I missed any questions? Have I kind of like,
a lot of the Draco family coming on saying hey, and we were just delving into really because we spoke like really early on in lockdown.
Yeah, the first time I think it was in the first weeks, right? I remember watching.
Yeah.
And from where, I mean, with Wales today, with the 13th of July, we still don't know anything. But Sherry was just saying they've gone through it all, but then they could be heading towards another lockdown.
What states are you in, Sherry?
So in anticipation that we would talk a little bit about this, I did a little bit of research because it's interesting. The states that again still have some of the highest cases, right? That are still and seeing growing numbers. So California, Texas, Florida, and New York. Now the interesting part of this is California and New York haven't completely opened up yet. They've opened little pockets, like Westchester in New York is open, but New York City itself and that is not open, right? Mm-hmm. So and California the same. Right in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. They're not open yet. But if you go a little ways out to Santa Clarita, Valencia, and the other counties further south, they're open. But then like San Diego isn't. And parts of San Francisco are, but parts aren't. So California and New York are still pretty much locked down like you guys. No real specific dates. Parts of open, they're like, hold on, stay. Florida and Texas opened pretty early. We opened May 8th here in Texas.
Wow.
So now, and I don't know that we were one of the last to shut down, but I certainly know we weren't one of the first. Arizona as well. But so the interesting part to me is that you have cities that haven't opened up and have stayed locked down that have growing numbers. And then you have these 2 states that have opened up and did close late and growing numbers. So it's like, what's going on here? That's the questions that make you think like, okay, how are we really going to prevent this? How are we really going to stop the spread? Because to me, I don't see a real true rhyme or reason to it. I mean, California has 39 million people. Texas has 29 million people. Florida has 21 million people. And New York has 19 million, which 3 million of that is right in New York City, where Texas has 4 major cities that have close to a million plus people. California has their 3 major cities that are well over, well into the millions per city. Yeah. And so again, it's like, and Florida, their largest city would be like Miami or Orlando, which barely have 1 million people. So, they have 400,000 and 200,000. So they don't even have 1 million. So again, it's like, why is Florida such a hot spot if the heat and humidity, right, help? And they've opened up, they closed late, opened sort of early, somewhat early, in the first, few states that were opening. But yet, again, they don't have those major cities. So it can't be because all of a sudden in the city, everybody just goes out to eat and starts going, out and socializing because the population isn't there that's there in New York City or in the cities in California. So it's just kind of interesting to me,
The beaches look busy though in Florida. As soon as the state was opened,
I went to the beach in San Diego a week ago, and it was full. There was a lot of people there. And they weren't wearing masks necessarily when they're out on the beach, but everywhere else you go in California, mostly California, I would say in LA and San Diego, which is where I've been. I didn't go to San Francisco recently, but those 2 cities, people are wearing masks everywhere. Yeah. And for me, coming from Texas, it was strange because here it's kind of a half and half. People, they'll go in the grocery and they'll go out to eat, and it's half and half for people wearing the masks and really following, social distancing, and then others that aren't. The neighbors I have on either side of me here, they're social distancing because I tried to approach them to talk and they didn't. When I was doing my yard work, I'm like, oh, sorry. So I had to step back. I'm like, ugh, because you don't know.
So Paul, did you hear this announcement at the UK today? Did you hear the one that we've had at Wales?
Yeah, the Wales, yeah.
There's a lot of chat about it here. And people saying, we're going to go for the 13th, but it's only on standby.
I know. It's like us in the 4th. So we're supposed to be the 4th. But I just found out today that we can't skin test before the 4th. You can't have anyone come to your premises before the 4th. So from the 4th, there's going to be a decision made. So we've got a lot of issues here that I'm sort of champion not to do is stop booking them, because the 4th is given as a date where things can be thought of to start. It's not a date where it's like, right, we're going to start, we're going to restart the business again. We're not, because we need the skin testing, we need the training, we need everything. We can train our team prior to opening, but we can't have too many people in the premises at once. So
I've just looked. I'm just showing this on Instagram. This is one of our local providers. I don't know if you can see that. And they put on it and said the March label has said we are open from the 13th. and he doesn't say anything of the sort. He actually says, be on standby for the 13th.
Is that the Barber House?
It's not a confirmed date. It's the next announcement.
Yeah.
The next announcement on the 9th. And
Yeah.
it's a possibility we could be on the 13th.
Yeah.
So I'm really frustrated because now I'm getting loads of people saying, can I book an appointment? Can I book an appointment? My phone doesn't stop for the last hour.
Yeah.
Can I book an appointment? I'm like, no, it's not that we, until I know on the 9th what definitely happened, I'm not going to start booking appointments. And anybody it does, it's crazy. I just did like an Instagram story when I was waiting for my internet to connect up with my guy upstairs, and I just the same thing. Look, this isn't this isn't a confirmed date. It's the next announcement, and we could be lucky to go on the 13th.
Yeah.
I still believe that we're actually going to be more like the 20th, which is more like Ireland.
Are you talking about July, Ian? July 20th?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that if we do get it, then I think that it will be it's a blessing we'll get in there for the 13th. But I don't think we will. I think it'll be another week or so after that.
Yeah. I think in LA and San Francisco and some of those other cities, I think a lot of the thinking of the governor who makes the decision is it's based on like heavily populated areas. And so for LA, I read something today that they're saying could be August.
Yeah.
Could be August. And I mean, we have states that opened up in May, but yet another city, not even a state, but a city is going to not. That would be like you saying like, okay, everyone can open except London.
Yeah.
In London, you can't do hair, but you can do hair in the rest of the country.
Well, it might be that. It might be that.
Because I do think it's population driven as well.
Definitely.
You know, when you look at, some of our states are big. We have big states, right? Like Iowa is a big state. Oregon is a big state, but they only have 3 million people in that whole state. Yeah. Connecticut and Rhode Island are little states, but they have, higher population than Iowa as a massive state. So of course their numbers are very low. Even the growing numbers, if they open with everything opened up, it's always been contained because it's not like massive people are traveling to rural Iowa, compared to people that are going to want to travel still to LA and San Diego. When I was in San Diego, I saw a lot of tourists because you can pick out tourists kind of, and I saw a lot of tourists.
The point, London was badly affected with this, wasn't it? It was the highest, most saturated amount of cases came in.
8 million people live there.
People there. And I think Paul lives about an hour from London. And Northampton, you had it quite tough up there as well, near Northampton, didn't you?
We've got it terrible. We're one of the worst hit areas in the country as a region. And the reason I think that we're going to go into impossible localised lockdowns is because the furlough scheme where they're paying wages, the government, is running now until October.
Yeah, I think that there's a hint there, isn't there? There's a hint to say that in some sectors you're not going to go back and furlough is going to go into October. Hopefully, with hospitality and hairdressing, which they've put us into and not retail, I think that we will be one of the last ones to go back. And that's why I still think they might be saying, no, the 13th is premature. Fingers crossed we can. It'd be fantastic if we can. Yeah. But we have to be really careful about. I'm definitely not booking appointments because I think the 9th is the next announcement. And if he says on the 9th, I've still got 4 days to book appointments solid, so I'm not worried about it. Yeah. But I've just been looking on Instagram earlier, and there's a lot of guys I know who've got barbershops, and they're already taking appointments. And I'm like, guys, it's on standby. It's not an official thing, but it's kind of crazy. But it's nice to be.
Do you think are people doing house calls? Are people going?
So many.
Yeah.
It's horrendous here. It's like
huge. It's huge here too. I mean, in LA, it's rampant. It already was. So for those stylists, it's like business as usual. Because in LA, it's so popular. I had numerous celebrities that some of them came into my studio and they were happy to, but a lot of them they would pay my travel fee, my travel rate, house call rate, which right there was $150 tacked on to the ticket, just to travel to them instead of them to me, for the inconvenience of that. I have to sit in traffic, so you don't have to sit in traffic, right? But it was also kind of for me a discouragement, because I don't want to constantly be with my suitcase running all around. But I know a lot of it's still going on. I mean, obviously it is. So.
Yeah, in the UK, it's because in the UK, no one is supposed to be doing it. Not at home, not as a freelance.
Same here.
But there's, I mean, we had something on Instagram. I'm not sure whether you were tagged in it, Paul, but somebody did a color for someone. It was absolutely horrendous. And I'm like, well, yeah. And it's like a lot of people are setting up non-hairdressers. They self-taught hairdressers.
Oh my God.
They're setting up little salons in their front room or in their garage. No, it's really in Cardiff. This is a big thing.
Yeah. I can
know about maybe 6 or 7 instances where people have set up, because they can do their mum's hair, so they set up their own salons because they think it's going to make money for them, and they cut in hair and color in hair at home, and they're not even trained people.
Sure. And no proper, and the thing too is like no proper sinks. Yeah, they don't have a proper sink because there's no way, I know what it takes from owning a salon and everything to put in your drains and, your proper hot and cold water and all of that. So nothing's being done professionally, unfortunately. No. And, even for the processing or getting the color properly rinsed, I mean, it's never ideal. I will say, for me, some of my house calls, they literally have salons in their homes, which makes it very convenient, like Tom Hanks. He's got a salon in his home for him and his wife. And so that makes it really convenient to shampoo. But most people, that's what they're doing it in the kitchen sink. And again, how do you properly get all the residual color out? And, then it's just all the things that can go wrong with that. And it's turning the industry, it's taking the professionalism out of our industry, and it's cheapening it, and it's putting it at a different level, and I don't like it. So it makes it really difficult.
Paul and I say we've been working really hard. I think a lot of hairdressers at the moment are trying to make it more professional. During lockdown, we've got more dialogue, a lot more people together, wanting to raise the profile of hairdressing in the UK, especially, and across Europe. And that's been undermined. But in one way, I think it will serve us well, because these people are showing how out of their depth they actually are, and then that they are actually creating more damage than anything else. And I think that is really bad. And with what we are trying to do, Paul and I, and involving other hairdressers, we're trying to lift the professionalism, and also that means that we can show how good the training is, how the ongoing training is, the planning, how much we should be charging, how much value is in being a hairdresser, the social function, all of those things that hairdressers are responsible for, not just cutting your hair. It's about a whole host of other things that we add on that add value to the profession itself. And I think it'll become a really attractive profession. I think we will see an influx of people coming into the industry post-lockdown, probably in September when school leavers come out. I think hairdressing will maybe see a bit of a new influx, which we haven't had for a long time, about 5 years. We've been, year on year, it's been dropping. So I think with what we're trying to do and how we're looking at it, I know Paul's working really hard in his area. I'm doing similar things in my area. We're like 150 miles apart, which is a long way in the UK. We were kind of just trying to make it all, like as level a playing field as we can, with the standards being as high as possible across the board. But but it takes people. You have to go out and do it. It doesn't just happen on its own. So it's a challenge, and I think on the long term, people setting up on their own, although it's frustrating, and because my clients want to know why I can't do theirs, you have to go through the whole explanation. I think that it'll actually, in the long term, it'll serve us good, it'll stand us in good stead. I think we could do it done right, and I think we've done it with integrity and real honesty and authenticity, which I think will stand us in good stead going forward. I really believe that.
Yeah. I feel like I love that. And that's something I love about I feel like other areas different from the US is, when I say that, I mean like other countries, and particularly Europe. I feel like there's so much more professionalism put into the careers. There's so much more training leading up to it. Like we have our licensing, which is being threatened to be taken away, and everyone's in this panic. But I'm like, well, quit making the industry unprofessional if you want the licensing to stay. And you know, other countries that don't have like the licensing, so to speak, or X amount of hours, and they work on a different system, I feel that that it's all taken so much more serious. Here, they go to school for their hours, and all of a sudden it's like, I have a license now, I'm amazing. You know, they don't do any continuing ed. There's nothing to be said for, you know, all of that. They go to shows, but more or less to drink and party and have a good time. I hope here in the US that it gets back to being a more professional industry as well. We've been inundated. Huh?
I thought you were talking about Ian.
No, we've been inundated.
I've got to share it with you because it's been so. I've had so many. I do quite a lot of stories on Instagram, and I don't get much reaction to them. This one today has had so much reaction. I'm going to share it with you. Have you seen it, Paul?
No.
I'll see if I can do it for you now. Watch. Can you see this? Watch.
Oh yeah.
So I just want to share that. That's like. That could be me. That really could be me. I'm telling you now. So and my friend is somebody said that's wrong on so many levels.
Your new side job.
Yeah.
Anything for followers, Ian. Anything for followers.
I think I was the original Magic Mike. What can I say?
Oh, I know. You know, Ian, I was supposed to attend some trainings with you with Gianni when he was doing the salon ideas. And the first 2 years I missed out because I had other commitments and I had to say no. And it was like, those were both times that I just like, it took me a long time to get over it. The fact that I was invited and couldn't do it, you know, with opportunities that come along, because I know that the team that you all had, you know, training with him back then for Salon Ideas was amazing. And just to be around that entire group would have been such a huge experience. So
it was fun. It was fun. It was a very intense group. It was a very intense thing, but we took it really seriously and we wanted to make it really elevated to the level. But also we had fun. You know, we had really loads of fun doing it as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that it was great fun and it was a great time. But I think what's happening now in Europe, especially with all the new stuff and the new people who got on board, and it's more exciting than ever. I mean, Paul will tell you, it's like every day is like a real school day, you know. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's linking up with different people and kind of, as long as you stay open and you want to learn and you want to take on new ideas, I think I've learned that, especially working with Paul over the last 3-4 months, really, Paul, isn't it? And you know, I've learned so much, and I think that it's reinvigorated my passion for what I do. And
yes.
And when I thought I was kind of like, oh well, I'm old now, and who wants to know? But now I actually think that I've got a lot to offer and I've got a lot to contribute, but I'm being taught to do it in a new way, which I would never have learned otherwise. So I really like it.
I think in the beginning, if people would have made like their list and said like from prioritizing it, not knowing how long it would last. So it's like, what is the most important thing for you right now to achieve while you're, you know, during this lockdown period, and then into the least priority, depending on how long it lasted. But I think everyone just started going to day, like I would say the mass percentage, going day to day into it, and then being like, oh, today I think I should watch a video, or today maybe I should do this. I said I wanted to become better at braiding, more advanced braiding, kind of things like that. And so I've been kind of concentrating on that a lot on Instagram and on YouTube to learn like more intricate braiding, business courses. Even though I'm no longer a salon owner, that's something you never quit thinking about.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, but I definitely agree with you, Ian. There's been so much amazing education and just the lives and seeing different ways of achieving a similar result is big. Yeah.
I agree. it's been, like, I think everybody's had the same type of thing. And if you haven't come out of this lockdown without having a new skill or learning, I think you've wasted your time, really.
Oh, it's been incredible. Just for a stop and refresh or whatever it's been. Like I have learned so much with everything. So it's been incredible for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I love the idea of branching out, like you were saying in early on, Paul, is like globally, because it's kind of like, when people, you sometimes forget what's in your own yard, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that just within Joico, the group of talent that we have globally is really just amazing. So even just expanding on your own, like, family, I guess you could call it, is huge, because the connections that are made are just amazing.
That's been massive for us to connect with everybody, and to put a personality to the face or the name or whatever. That's been massive, and we really enjoyed that. And I think there's been a lot of ideas that come from it. We've got a lot of brainstorming, Paul and I, in private and stuff, and it's really, we got an idea where we want to take the whole thing. So, but reaching out to people and connecting has been really, really important. It's been good.
Right.
So we want to wrap it up a bit and kind of move it forward. So I've missed out. So I'm going to leave you do all the closing bits. Lewis actually said, Ian, you should go stand in the corner and be ashamed of yourself.
I know.
But yeah, it's been amazing. It's been great to catch up again and to go full circle. And we'll have to, like I said at the very beginning, we're going to continue to do these on Mondays after lockdown. So we'll just have to keep connecting and making sure that we're all right.
Yeah.
We've got Jill Berry on Monday, and we've got Daniela Elfstrom on Friday. So the European team.
Oh, nice.
It's European. So yeah, it's going to be really good fun. So
great lineup.
The two, like Jill is somebody I started with Joico at the same time, like probably 2011. Danielle,
amazing inspiration.
Yeah, she's incredible, and I think that Danielle is somebody who I was really lucky to be on her first ever overseas trip with, and she was just mind blowing. Just to meet her and see her work, she still is a mind blowing colorist. Yeah. I love working with her. So I'm looking forward to speaking to both of them because they're like my sisters, really. It's good fun. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Paul, I apologize once again. Thanks for holding the fort. You are such a gentleman.
No worries.
And
hopefully on my next trip, which I hope isn't too long away, that I get to come back to the UK, I can connect with you guys. And
100%.
That'll be fun. That would be fun.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. We'll have to do something. So stay on. We're just going to wrap up, and then we'll have a quick chat after.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thank you, everybody. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you Monday at 7:00 with Jill Berry.
I'm hoping for forgiveness by Monday.
Ian might turn up. He might turn up.